Veterans of the so-called Special Military Operation criticized the authorities of the Russian Federation at a gathering in Siberia. They expressed their dissatisfaction, saying that the authorities did not stand up for General Vladimir Shamanov, who was insulted by the head of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov.
How can young people even look at our government after this? How are they supposed to judge our government? How are they supposed to follow it, when first they themselves hand out awards, and then the head of one of the republics can just put him down, say that he's an enemy, a murderer, and a maniac?
The Russian Federation's military added that they took the insult against Shamanov personally.
Here we are promoting patriotism, love for the motherland, respect for veterans, especially for heroes of the Russian Federation. But in reality, people see the reaction too. It's absolutely zero. We talked about it, insulted the heroes of Russia, and forgot about it.
Another target of criticism was propagandist Vladimir Solovyov, who was criticized for his verbal attack on Zid bloggers Pozniakov and Alex Parker.
Why is it that this person, for example, I stopped watching his program several years ago, why does he still continue to broadcast on the country's main channel?
Let us recall that earlier, in a published video, Solovyov revealed the location of the secret Rubicon drone unit base in the Russian army. Analyst Alexei Rykov notes that such statements are a frightening signal for the Russian authorities.
Because this is when the infighting begins, like in a jar, when they're ready to tear each other apart. Some because they see that there's still injustice all around, and others because they're afraid they'll be hanged, and these ones know how to fight, while those need to hold on to power.
As Reuters reported in September, citing sources close to the Kremlin, Vladimir Putin views the return of participants in the war in Ukraine as a potential risk that he wants to carefully manage in order to avoid destabilizing society and the political system he has created.
US President Donald Trump held a phone conversation with Russian dictator Vladimir Putin and announced a new meeting. According to him, they discussed the prospects for ending the war in Ukraine. The American leader said that the conversation with Putin was very productive and marked a major step forward. As a result of the conversation, the leaders of the two countries agreed that their representatives would meet next week. The United States will be represented at the meeting by Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio will meet with his Russian counterpart, who, as you know, is Lavrov, and this will happen quite soon.
Trump added that after this, he will meet with Putin in Budapest to try to put an end to the war. According to him, the meeting could take place within 2 weeks. Donald Trump reminded that on October 17th, he plans to meet with the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, in the Oval Office. There, among other things, they will discuss the conversation with Putin. The US President also said that during the conversation with Putin, the topic of providing Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles was discussed. Answering a journalist's question, he noted that Putin tried to dissuade him from making the deliveries. At the same time, Trump did not say whether Ukraine would receive the missiles.
I said, Putin, you don't mind if I hand over a few thousand Tomahawk missiles to your opponents, do you? He didn't really like that idea. He didn't like it.
Trump also believes that a meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Russian dictator Vladimir Putin could take place. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt announced this at a briefing. As is known, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has already arrived in Washington at the invitation of the US President. According to the schedule of the American president, the talks will take place over lunch in an informal setting and will be closed to the press.
Germany has demanded that Hungary arrest dictator Vladimir Putin if he comes to a meeting with the US President. Berlin reminded Budapest of its obligations to the International Criminal Court. Hungary had previously announced its withdrawal from the jurisdiction of the ICC, but this decision will only formally take effect in 2026, so the warrant is still valid. However, Budapest refused to arrest the Kremlin ruler Putin, as stated by Hungarian Foreign Minister Péter Szijjártó.
We are respectfully awaiting President Vladimir Putin, of course. We will ensure he has the opportunity to enter Hungary, hold successful negotiations here, and then return home. No coordination with anyone is necessary.
The Hungarian foreign minister has also already announced the start of preparations for a meeting between Trump and Putin. And Hungary's pro-Russian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán was quick to call Putin. Trump met with Putin in Alaska in August of this year. At that time, the US president came to the meeting intending to reach an agreement with the Russian dictator to end the war in Ukraine. But as reported by the Financial Times, instead Putin rejected his proposal and angered him with a history lecture. Sources told the publication that Trump was very surprised by Putin's lecture, raised his voice several times, and even threatened to walk out. In the end, he cut the meeting short and cancelled the planned lunch. At that lunch, the delegations were supposed to discuss economic ties and cooperation. The Financial Times noted that as a result, there were changes in Donald Trump's position in favor of Ukraine. Let us recall that on October 16th, after a conversation with Putin, Trump announced a meeting with the Russian dictator. It is expected that the summit will take place in the capital of Hungary within the next 2 weeks.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is ready to meet with the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. This was stated in an interview with Axios by the head of the president's office, Andriy Yermak. According to him, in a phone conversation with the American leader Donald Trump on the eve of his trip to Washington, Zelenskyy reiterated his readiness to meet in any format and anywhere in the world except Russia or Belarus. Putin has repeatedly rejected such a meeting. The head of the president's office noted that both phone conversations between Zelenskyy and Trump were very good. According to Yermak, the presidents understand each other, and the fact that they agreed on a meeting so quickly is evidence of friendship and partnership. Meanwhile, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has already given instructions to prepare a summit between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, which will take place in Budapest. He said that on the evening of October 16th he spoke with Trump by phone, and on October 17th he intends to speak with Putin. Orban believes that, apart from Budapest, there is no other place in Europe suitable for such a summit. According to the Hungarian Prime Minister, the meeting between Putin and Trump could take place a week after the meeting of the Russian and US foreign ministers, which is scheduled for next week. According to The Telegraph, the upcoming meeting between the American and Russian leaders in Budapest has sparked a wave of outrage in Europe. The article states that for Brussels, this is a humiliation, while for Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, it is a political triumph. According to The Telegraph, European diplomats are already calling the summit a blow to the European Union. After all, the negotiations between the US and Russia will take place in a country that has repeatedly blocked support for Ukraine and maintains close ties with the Kremlin. On the night of October 17th, a series of powerful explosions occurred in occupied Crimea. According to the Telegram channel Crimean Wind, drones attacked an oil depot in the village of Vardiysky, resulting in a large-scale fire breaking out there. There are also preliminary reports of a hit on an ammunition depot. According to the channel, the attacked oil depot belongs to a network of gas stations, which could lead to an even greater shortage of gasoline and diesel fuel in occupied Crimea. Crimean Wind reports that many ambulances arrived from Simferopol to the village of Vardiyiska. Explosions also occurred in Saki and Novofedorivka, and in Yevpatoria, classes in schools were cancelled. The occupation authorities reported damage to several electrical substations in the temporarily occupied territory of Crimea. At the same time, they remained silent about the massive fire at the oil depot. According to subscribers of the Telegram channel in Hvardiske, there were strikes not only on the oil depot but also in the northern area, as well as on the Russian garrison stationed near the airfield. In addition, the spokesperson for the Ukrainian Navy, Dmytro Pletenchuk, said on the Apostrophe channel that during the overnight Ukrainian drone attack on Crimea, Russian forces shot down their own aircraft. He did not provide any further details, adding that all information is currently being gathered in Crimea. It should be noted that the defense forces are carrying out a series of successful strikes on military targets in temporarily occupied Crimea. One of the main targets remains the Crimean Bridge. Ukraine is awaiting a decision from US President Donald Trump regarding the provision of Tomahawk missiles, which could inflict significant damage on Russian military facilities on the occupied peninsula. Furthermore, in September, Donald Trump stated that Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, has every opportunity to fight and restore all of its territory to its original state. This indicates that Ukraine has the potential to liberate temporarily occupied Crimea quite soon.
The Ukrainian Navy confirmed the crash of a Russian Su-30 in temporarily occupied Crimea on October 17th. It is reported that a Russian radio intercept mentions both engines catching fire.
It is likely that, while repelling a UAV attack using air defense systems, the enemy shot down their own multi-role fighter jet.
Earlier, the spokesperson for the Ukrainian Navy in the ISU, Dmytro Britanchuk, stated that Russian forces shot down their own aircraft while repelling drones over the temporarily occupied territory of Crimea.
They were defending against Ukrainian attacks so vigorously that they ended up shooting down their own plane over Crimea. The struggle continues.
When a journalist asked for more details about the plane, Britanchuk made a joke in response.
The details are currently being collected on the territory of Crimea.
Overall, since the start of Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine, there have been numerous recorded cases where Russian air defense has shot down its own aircraft. In the first weeks of the aggression, Russia lost up to 6 aircraft to its own air defense missile systems. In 2023 to 2024, there were recorded cases where Russian air defense shot down its own missiles and drones. As previously reported on the night of October 17th, a series of powerful explosions occurred in temporarily occupied Crimea. Monitoring public channels reported that there were hits on Russian occupiers' facilities. According to the Crimean Wind Channel, UAVs attacked the village of Gvardeyskoye at night. As a result of the strikes, an oil depot is on fire. A thick column of smoke can be seen even in Simferopol. It is reported that 2 fuel tanks are already burning. Meanwhile, it became known that the defense forces of southern Ukraine struck a Russian Smerch in the occupied part of Kherson region.